this morning. We are in Norway. I will refrain from doing any Swedish chef impersonations from the Muppets, but there we are. There's Norway. Long strip heading north in the Atlantic. Population 5.5 million, quite small, really. A very wealthy country, very high GNP. Not a member of the EU, but a member of the, I think it's called the EAA, which allows them to have most of the advantages of being in the EU without losing some of its sovereignty. So there you go. So A is for, this is not Bernard in repose.
Thank God.
This is Roald Amundsen, 1872 to 1928, the Norwegian explorer, first to traverse the Northwest Passage, and the first person to reach the South Pole in 1911. He beat Captain Scott and his pals. He disappeared in June 1928, flying over the Arctic. So he was, what, 56 years of age. Looks older than that, doesn't he? But maybe it's just a photograph.
Looks very impressive.
Maybe he was just cold, I don't know, but there we are. And I don't know why I put this in, really, but I don't know if you've watched this recently.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's Nicola Walker, who purports to be a Norwegian, but she's a who keeps finding dead bodies in the Clyde, but anyway, there you go, that's panic. City of Bergen. It's the capital of Norwegian Fjordland. It was the centre of the Hanseatic League. Somebody's doing something. What are they doing? Is it Gordon trying to get in?
Yeah.
Okay. Which was a kind of some number of guilds and towns in Northern Europe who worked together in the 11th century onwards for trade purposes. Second city of Norway, and it's the city of 7 mountains. I don't know why 7 should be such a magic figure, because places like Rome on 7 hills and all the rest of it, but maybe 7 is the required number. Population 285,000. It looks rather pretty there, actually. It is quite a nice place, actually. There's lots of bridges and things across.
I went there very briefly when I was 21, so it's more than 50 years ago now, so that it's changed. But...
Well, I don't think it has very much. I mean, it's kind of like when I was there, it was raining like there was no tomorrow, and everybody was sort of bent double, so it was kind of but there's all these kind of 16th century houses along the front made out of wood, and it's a very pretty little place. And C is for, this is how I always think of Norway, actually. I don't know why, but C is for cross-country skiing, which apparently is a national sport. It's kind of nice Christmas card type picture there of freezing cold snow.
Is that you, Graham, on the skis?
Yes. My nose is just twitching the screen now. Yeah. No, it's not me. I've only ever been skiing once, and that was in Austria, and that was about 100 years ago. So there you go. But, here we are. Here we have Mr. Roald Dahl, who was actually born in Cardiff, which is kind of like the spoils things. But his parent, he was the son of Norwegian parents who travelled around the world, and born in 1916, died in 1990. You're all familiar with his books. Some of his ideas and opinions have been questioned lately, but and they're threatening to attack some of the attitudes in his books. But there we go. He was a fighter pilot during the Second World War. Don't know what more can I say. You probably know more about him than I do. There's the fabulous. Who's that? The uppers?
Matilda.
Well, the big lady I was thinking.
Oh,
I've forgotten
Miss-
the name. It's from Matilda.
This is
Sponge
Matilda.
Pole.
Ball, yeah, that's right.
That's it. Yes.
Played by Anne Ferris, I think, in the film, and then I think Emma Thompson's recently go out to as well. There we go.
And that chap from Strictly, whose name I forget, he played her on stage.
Oh,
I've forgotten his name. And that's the Quentin Blake picture.
is it Rebel Harwood or somebody like that?
That's it, Greville Horwood. He played her on stage.
Because he's playing Miss Hannigan in Annie at the Opera House soon. Okay, Norwegian elk, elk hound, Norwegian dog. Spritz type of dog is the national dog of Norway. Well, they are all the information you need about is on screen there. They used to use them a lot for hunting. I don't know if they still do, but sailed with the Vikings. Look, there you go. Very active. Apparently, they're very hard to control. In this, if you let them off the leash, they go berserk. But there we are.
Is that the way you spell Norwegian?
Sorry,
Is that the way you spell Norwegian that they had in the prison?
I don't know. I think maybe this is just a mistake. It's kind of yeah, could be, couldn't it? Could be their way of doing it. But,
Not a vegan.
no, there you go. Yeah. Oh, you're okay. There you go. So I knew it would do the Swedish chat. Okay, and that's one of the beautiful dogs. They're like a cross between a Alsatian and a husky type thing.
Wolfhound, yeah.
Yeah. Right. And here we have fjords, which, for those who don't already know, are deep, narrow, elongated ocean inlets with steep mountains on three sides. Okay. I wonder if they're of that color of blue, but probably they are in sunlight. And they are formed from Ice Age glaciers. They can also be found in Chile, New Zealand, Canada, Greenland, and Alaska. So
It looks wonderful.
it does. It looks. There's a sort of, that in the winter when the sun's out, but it's very cold. It's that kind of crisp blue.
It looks clean.
And there's another one with even taller. And at this time, we've got a sort of village around the edge of the. This is the Flan Railway, Flansbana, which goes up the side of it. It is reputed to be one of the most beautiful train rides in the world. It lasts for less than an hour. And when we went up it, we sort of booked a train and they said, what time should we book it? Come back on the one you went on because there's nothing up there. So once you get to the top, you've seen it all really. There are one or two sort of, they're like huts really. It's where the Norwegians go and spend the weekend and take their sandwiches and sit in the huts. But there's nothing very much there other than
party animals.
yeah. But there we are. Flamspan. Okay, and here we are on the Norwegian glacier. Just at Alasbreen. Glaciers, as you know, are millennia of packed snow, basically, that hasn't been melted and it's built up along each other. Of course, now glaciers, whichever you want to say, are in danger because of global warming. But they're quite interesting things, and they really are that shade of blue. It's amazing.
It's very dirty, isn't it?
It is in part, but I think that depends on the level of melting. You know, what's exposed underneath.
And pollution, presumably.
Mm. And presumably those poles are to tell you where to walk or something, otherwise you might fall down.
Probably, yeah. Or just telling you where not to walk, probably is more like it. But because once you get down there, that's not much hope for you, is there? Really? But the places. Okay. We have Edward Grieg, composer, 1843 to 1907, born in Bergen. Again, suites, probably famous pieces of writing. Hallberg Suite. Written something down there and I can't read it, so I don't know. Oh, piano concerto, yeah, I think. First piano concerto I ever heard at a classical concert was the Grieg #1 at Halle in 1956. And there we have the Hall of the Mountain King, which I used to love when I was a kid. And I think at school we were taught to sing something like "Pidgey, Pidgey, pull his hair, pull his hair, pull his hair," etc.
Greek India Trading Company. That's odd.
Yes, I thought that was very peculiar as well.
Well, it's the only picture I could find, so
I just wondered who they were and what. It seems an odd combination of people.
Greek India Trading Company remit. I don't know. I know why.
Yeah, because the logo is GI Co, isn't it? So.
Yes, but there we are. Anyway, there's the Mountain King with all these little minions. But, okay, Tor Heyerdahl, zoologist, botanist, geographer, etc. This is the Kon-Tiki exhibition of 1947, which sailed 8,000 miles across the Pacific Ocean from South America to Polynesia in a hand-built raft.
They weren't vegetarians, were they?
Well, no.
They couldn't really be. They would have to. There's an awful lot of fish there.
But I think they probably catch what they eat, what they catch, don't they? Really, but
yeah.
Didn't bother about sunburn, did they?
No.
Well, I suppose
76 years ago.
the people who live in that part of the world mostly live on fish anyway, so it's kind of eat what they catch. This is the route they took from Peru across down to one of these millions of islands here in the Polynesia. 4,300 miles in 101 days. How long's 101 days? 14 weeks. Yeah. There we go.
Amazing.
Sorry? Somebody can say something.
No, I said amazing. That's all great.
All right. Okay. Yeah. I was thinking about the sunburn thing myself, actually. I don't know how they managed to.
What did they die of? Perhaps they died of cancer, skin cancer.
Well, he died of old age now. This was 75 years ago, but I mean, it's kind of.
76, Graham.
Yeah, oh, sorry. Yeah. It was a very good year anyway. Yeah, but there we are. Right. Oh, this is Harold Hadrada. Hadrada means rather stately, translated as strong king or something. I think it means a bit of a horror actually, but he was the king of Norway and a Viking, and like all Vikings, they felt they should control the rest of as much of the world as they could. And he invaded England and wanted to become king of England. But he was killed in 1066 at the Battle of, I remember now, something village. Oh, I ain't got enough. I've written it down somewhere. I don't, so many bits of paper here, but no, I can't find it. Anyway, it'll come to me later. But he was killed in 1066, which was an interesting year for English history, wasn't it? It's
Nigel says
Is he the one that
Stamford
King Harold
Bridge.
had to go and fight in the north and then had to march all his troops down back to Hastings in, you know, something ridiculous like 10 days from Yorkshire to see off William the Conqueror, only it didn't work.
well, it was
What did you say, Lorraine?
Stamford Bridge, Nigel
Stamford
says.
Bridge. That's it. Yeah, yeah.
Isn't that Chelsea's ground?
Yeah, it's kind of always been a bloody awful place. There we go. Okay, here we have Henrik Ibsen, looking very serious and angry and all the rest of it. But 1828 to 1906, famous Norwegian playwright. Famous for lots of plays: Doll's House, Hedda Gabler, Ghosts, Enemy of the People, Pig, The Master Builder. Incidentally, his plays all received well, most of them, Doll's House, Master Builder, Rosmer's Home, Hedda Gabler, all received their British premieres in Manchester.
Interesting.
Because in London, they were considered to be too smutty, too dirty, too disgusting. All about, you know, sex outside marriage and infidelity and all that kind of stuff that didn't happen in London, apparently. But there you go. And this is where they were performed, at the Gentlemen's Concert Hall, which is this building here with the pillars, which is now occupied by the Midland Hotel. And you see the pillars of St. Peter's Church, which is where St. Peter's Square is now. So, but anyway, they're an interesting piece of theatrical history from Manchester. And there's the programme from a performance of Hedda Gabler, which I remember seeing in 1993, in fact, at the Royal Exchange. The Hedda Gabler at the time was pretty well-known actress Geraldine James. This is not a picture of her. It's just an old picture. Like quite often in the programs at the Royal Exchange show a picture of somebody else, not the person playing the part, but presumably because they're printed in advance. But it was a pretty good performance. They did it later, I think, with Amanda Donohoe, but this is the one I remember seeing. Yeah. And this is.
I think they did it with Cush Jumbo as well.
Did they?
Yes, they
Yeah.
did. I saw that.
She
It
was brilliant. Yeah,
Yeah,
well, I
she's a
enjoyed it.
wonderful actor. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Joe Nesbo, who you will have seen in Waterstones and in airports and railway stations.
Oh, I thought it was a woman, Joan.
I always thought it was a woman.
Because it was J.O., isn't it? Yeah.
There you go. It's
Oh, interesting.
and he was a footballer actually before he became a writer and a reporter and all sorts of things. But he a prolific writer about horror, murder, crime, mystery. But there you go. Joe Nesbo. He's about 60. He's about 60ish now. He's still struggled with K, so I ended up finding this place is this town called Kristiansund, which is in the very north of, or an island actually. In Norway has lots of islands, but this lady here looks like I don't know, fishwife maybe. I don't know what she's got in her hand. A large fish maybe, or a batch of fish. I don't know. Anyway, there we are.
Yeah, they look like fish heads.
Could be a
don't
night, a net, a long
they? They
net.
look like fish heads at the bottom, don't they?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, anyway.
Oh, it looks like fish tails. Yeah,
Could be a string bag with fish in it.
a
Yeah,
net, in other words.
just come back from Tesco's. Yeah, okay, right. And this is where it is. It's right up in the north, one of the small islands in the north.
Gosh.
I think it's I don't know what the population is, but it's not a massively big place. But oh, and this is Lillehammer, which is where the 1994 Winter Olympics were held. It's the most northern city ever to host the Olympics. I think using the word city is probably a bit of a exaggeration, because this is what it looks like when there's no snow.
Oh,
Kind of like, it looks very pretty actually, doesn't it? But it's kind of Norwegian Kirk type building. You know. Anyway, okay. Anybody know who this is?
no.
I'll give you a clue. They said he was a scream.
Monk?
Oh, Monk, yeah.
Yeah, Edward Munch. Yeah. Let's see what his days. 1863 to 1944. His childhood was lots of illness, bereavement, and he was scared of inheriting a mental illness which ran in the family. So maybe that explains some of his paintings. I don't know. Here's one that isn't quite so scary. I quite like this one.
Yeah.
It's rather pretty, that one's kind of, I mean, you can obviously recognize the style. It's less sort of, there's a group of girls chatting here and there's somebody just walking down the, and this of course is the famous one that we all know, been stolen a few times. There are various versions of it. There's two lithographs and prints and stuff, but there we are. I can't remember, where is it now? I don't. Is it in New York? Is it in the Metropolitan?
I thought there were several copies of it.
Sorry,
I thought there were several versions of it.
I
So it
just
might...
said there are about 6 versions of it, but I mean there are 2 of them are lithographs and 2 of them are prints. But there's only 2 paintings. Yeah. Where are we going now? North Pole. Yeah. You can see where Norway is in relation to the North Pole. There are other countries which are probably a bit nearer, but here we are. What's to say about that, really? And Oslo, quite a modern city, really, with old bits in between. Population around about 700,000, I think. Another view of it. I can't work out what this animal. It looks like a. I don't know what it is really. It looks like a. It's not a lion.
Right. Siberian tiger?
I was saying it looks like a tiger, doesn't it?
Mm.
Do you think it's a snow leopard? I'm just.
I don't know. It's sort of.
It's got sort of stripes on it, hasn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, that you see that I've never been to Oslo, so I don't remember.
No, it's weird.
And that's another view of the city, which apparently is full of parks and lakes, and so apart from the modern buildings, it has got plenty of museums. It's part of lots of nice museums. And there's a fabulous picture of a polar bear leaping from Norwegian. They have polar bears in Norway. There are about 700 of them at the moment. they're dwindling, I believe. But there are about 20,000 in the world still. But I reckon that 700 of them are in Norway. Few struggled again, so I ended up with Queen, whatever her name is, Queen Ingrid, I think it is. No, it's not. It's Sonia. It looks like a Christmas tree to me. I kind of like all those bits and pieces attached to it, but there you go. I'm sure she's very nice. The Norwegian word for queen is drottning. Drottning. Well, and in Sweden, there's a place called Drottningholm, I think, which is probably the home of the queen, but Swedish and Norwegian language are very similar. Okay, here we go. Testing my Swedish. This is rombegrot, which is a comfort food made out of sour cream, whole milk, wheat flour, butter, and salt. I suppose it's kind of like a type of porridge, I suppose, but looks very exciting, isn't it? And these are Rosbusboll, which are potato dumplings, which are apparently very popular in Norway, and they're made in. There are lots and lots of versions of them, depending on where you live in Norway. But sometimes they have meat in them, sometimes they have different things in them.
What do you make them from? How's it potato?
Potato dumplings. So, flour and whatever else you make dumplings out of.
Oh, right, it's flour. Okay.
Okay. And here he is.
Hooray!
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Lovely.
You didn't have Haaland for 8, though, did you?
I think he's. I like him actually. I used to love to hear him talk because it's kind of a Norwegian with a Manc accent. It was really good. But,
Yeah.
And there he is in his playing days, looking very boyish. Yeah. So there we go.
Enough of that.
Yeah. Sorry, Tony.
Where's he gone now? Has he gone back to Norway or is he managing somewhere else? I don't know.
I don't know. I think he's made it home in Manchester actually, but I don't know whether he's I don't know if he's running another team at the moment.
He's gone to join his Hobbit friends.
This reminds me of a very pleasant afternoon I spent in Stavanger once, looking for something to do when we went to the Sardine Museum.
Are you serious?
It's absolutely true. And to be perfectly honest, it was quite fascinating. I mean, I've probably told you about this before, but there's a young man showed us around, and I had the most beautiful English. He spoke absolutely wonderful English, much better than he was to. And without a mistake or whatever, it was just about. And he was only about 19 or something. But anyway, and he gave us a full tour of all the things that happened in the sardine factory. So there we go. Okay, this is Tromsø.
Oh, wow.
Northernmost city in the world. It's not. There are one or two other villages and towns a bit further north, but this is the northernmost city in the world, and you can see the northern lights if you're lucky. It's presumably it's surrounded, not surrounded by, but it's the Gulf Stream keeps it quite warm. It's surprisingly warm in the summertime, but the Gulf Stream, at least when it used to behave like it should do, which it doesn't anymore, does it? But so they have quite mild sort of summer times, but obviously you get fantastic aurora borealis. Anyway, there we go. This is Liv Ullmann, who was actually.
Bergman films.
I think she was Swedish, but in fact she was born in Norway. She was Ingrid Bergman's muse for a while. Scenes from a marriage, Cries and Whispers, Autumn, and Sonata. She was born, and she again was not born in Norway, but she had Norwegian parents. She was born in Tokyo because her parents were diplomatic corps there. So until she was 8, she lived in Tokyo and then moved back to Norway. But she's a fantastic looking lady.
Amazing.
This I don't think this is her. I think this is scenes from a marriage, and it looks to me like it was taken in Madame Tussauds. The guy looks so bloody wooden, it's unbelievable. But,
Is he dead?
I don't know. I should say, come on.
It's Colin Farrell, isn't it?
Oh,
Yes.
well spotted.
And Jessica Chastain.
Yeah.
Useless knowledge. Useless.
Very good. I'm impressed.
No, that's
Ooh.
interesting.
Don't be. I don't know why I remembered them.
Well, it's an Irish, no, Sweden. Anyway, there you go. I just found this picture quite funny because he looks like he's just been cast in wax, but now we are maybe.
He looks scared.
He does.
Doesn't he?
Kind of moving.
There we are.
I mean, there's a lot of redheads that are in the pictures you've chosen. Is red hair particularly Norwegian? I just wondered. Deathly silence.
I didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. A lot of the people that we see, Ibsen's heroines and different people, are red-haired. And I just wondered, and this is a red-headed actress. I just wondered, is red hair particularly common in Norway?
I
Yes,
think it's a
I think it
Viking
is.
thing.
Yeah.
It's a Viking trait, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is
Yeah.
fairly common. It's
There's
fairly
lots
common.
of Scots
Northern
that
Europe,
were invaded
both-
by Vikings, weren't they? And they're red-headed.
You've got 3 minutes, Graham.
Okay, I just say a lot
Sorry.
of people from Latvia and Estonia and places have red hair too. I think it must be a very Northern European thing. So it's probably Viking. It's
Viking, I think.
Talking of which, here are the Vikings. It kind of just spot right on cue. 800 to 1100 seafarers leaving Norway, settling around quite violent and all the rest of it. Let's move on that. And there's a Viking settlement for you, which is the sort of thing you used to get in primary school, isn't it? Kind of like this is how they used to live, sort of thing. And this is their influence around Europe. So the green bits are areas subject to frequent Viking raids: Scotland, Ireland, Wales, Finland, all those places. Some parts of France and Spain. Further south was Andalusia. Wales, Norwegian Wales, they look like orcas to me, but there you go. And there's Trafalgar Square Xmas tree. I got the X in there.
Oh, very good.
Oh, very good, Graham.
This is the first one that was given in 1947. Good year again.
Yeah, excellent year.
They were 50 to 60-year-old trees, 20 meters plus high, given by the Norwegian king. Haakon VII was the first one because he was exiled in the UK during the Second World War, and it was his gift to the British people. Complained about last year's, didn't he? Anyway, and I had nothing for why. So this is Jorvik, which is
Oh yeah,
Viking settlement in York.